And we can just dance the night away until we get no more. Shake all the hurt away so you can feel and forget who you used to be. For just tonight, could you just dance the night away?
All right, this is another Guild Wars 2 video that has got Reddit videos over it because we lost audio on it. Okay. These three should hopefully be the last ones to do that, and we'll go back to our normal scheduled routines on Guild Wars 2. I know I keep saying that, but I keep thinking, oh, I'm at the end, and then I look at it and I'm like, no. Because these videos are back from when I had been making like 2-hour-long videos and cutting them in half and making them hour-long videos throughout the week. So these are big, chunky, like, videos I've had to butcher up quite a bit because I've switched my routine since the last time I recorded Guild Wars 2. So, you know, it is what it is. So, we're back to doing some Reddit relationship advice. I've got a lineup of them set up, so we're just going to hear out what the bot has to say, and then we'll make our decision.
My 28F best friend, 27F, saw my tampons and said they were way too big and made fun of me in front of people. My best friend stayed over for the weekend. We've been close since college, but lately she's been kinda judgy about stuff. I had a small party, she came over, apparently finds a box of tampons. She walks out holding the box and just goes, "Girl, what are these? These look like they're for horses," and starts laughing in front of two of our other friends. Like they're big boy tampons, I get it. I just stood there like. Then later when I said that was really uncomfortable, she was like, "I'm just saying maybe that's not normal," and then laughed and said she's joking and was joking before too. Now I feel super self-conscious over something that's literally just a part of being a woman. I don't know if I'm overreacting and can't take a joke, but it really upset me. Like we've been friends forever and I think she's just changed her style of humor. I don't want to just end the friendship, but she keeps brushing it off. How should I explain that this is hurting me without her brushing it off? TLDR, best friend made fun of my tampon size in front of other people. Said it was a joke, but it really bothered me.
Okay. First, I didn't look at the ages on this because I've been blind picking these, meaning I go to the Reddit thing and I look at some of them, briefly read the title, and that's it. I don't do anything else for the videos and stuff because I want to actually generally be able to react without having to question it too much. And I'm also, my channel and stream are not kid friendly, they're adult based, so I don't have any topics that I necessarily dodge unless I find them too grotesque or horrible. But in this situation, this story doesn't fit that. But when I saw when I looked at listened to the ages, I was like, I thought these were teenagers before that. Like the things that the friend is saying, the 27-year-old friend is saying, sounds like a high schooler or a middle schooler saying. Hell, okay, I've had this issue before with my own friends, not necessarily with pads or tampons or anything of period products, because in my household, my mom always said that that's just a natural part of our body and we don't question it. Like, and this is in the sense that we don't question other people on what products they use and the sizes they use. All right. Normally, the only time we ever ask about someone's size and whatnot is if we're on the phone with them and they need an emergency. And all we ask is, what size? Cool? Okay, cool. We grab them. All right. Because my family finds that insulting a woman's flow, whether she's not flowing a lot or a raging river, is none of your business, and it's disrespectful to even bring it up unless you're concerned. Like if you turn to your auntie and you're like, "Auntie, I think I bleed too much, or I think I bleed too little." That's different, right? That's a conversation, but you don't make fun of that crap, right? You don't mock it, because that's not how that's supposed to be. It's a bodily function. Do you mock someone for blowing their nose? No? Then why the heck are you mocking someone for what products they use? It'd be like walking up to someone being like, "Huh, you use that brand of napkins or handkerchiefs? That's stupid." But like, I find that the fact that your friend is 27 years old acting like this, I think you need to sit her down. And honestly, I wouldn't sugarcoat it. You may have been like, "Well, hey, this hurt my feelings." All right, I would have sat her down. I would have called her over or had a lunch date, like take her out to coffee or something, and say, "Hey, you have to understand this. That's not cool. We are adults. That is not an adult way to handle a conversation. You don't mock me in front of other people because you think it's funny. That's not funny, you know." And I would have said that. I would have been like, just be blunt with it. Be rough, because sometimes your friends are hanging out with new people and they think that this thing is funny because with that group of friends, it's funny. And honestly, it's not funny. And I would have told her that. I would have like stepped. And honestly, the thing is, I wish. And here's the thing. I understand hindsight's 2020, and I also understand that OP may just be more like relaxed with this person. This is a friend of theirs, but I wish she had nipped it in the bud as soon as her friend mocked her in front of the group. But I won't lie, I've been told by friends and stuff that I can be quite nippy, but I have hard lines. Don't cross them, right? I have hard lines, and I have hard lines for reasons. And I got sick and tired of this nonsense. As a teenager, I didn't do that, right? As a teenager, I did let people walk on me a little bit more. But as I got older, I'm like, I'm too old for this crap. I'm too old for this crap. You're too old for this crap. I'm not doing it. I learned to push hard boundaries, because when you're in high school, you think that you don't have friends. There's no, like, you're never going to have friends. Your whole social circle is your friend group. You think the world will end. And as a kid, teenager, growing up, that is what you need. You need your circle. But when you get to be an adult and you're living on your own, you don't need your circle anymore. You don't. You can live your whole life just making casual friends at work, right? Don't get me wrong, some people prefer to have circles, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm just saying, you can drop a friend. And sometimes with these friends, when they get older, you have to put hard boundaries in and be like, no. In this situation, I find that this is disrespectful. If I was at this party and I saw this or this gathering and I saw your friend do that to you and you looked uncomfortable, I would say something. I probably even would say something. I'd be like, that's kind of like weird. Some people need, like I said, it's one of those things in my own household. It's a forbidden thing to make fun of, right? Like, even if you bleed through your pants, which has happened because accidents happen, women in my family don't laugh. Neither do the men. They're like, oh, hey, you're bleeding through your hair. You got a splotch on here. They always just call it a splotch. They don't ever, like, point it out. And they just tend to body block you and then just say, hey, you need to go to the restroom? Here, I got some shorts you can use, that kind of thing. But my family's always been very loving and respectful on both sides of the family when it comes to these kinds of scenarios, because this is a natural body part. And we had a lot of family members who are nurses and home health workers, so they know that these things happen, right? They have more respect for the sanctity of someone's feelings. I think your friend is a jerk, and I think you need to be more firm and push and say, this is a hard boundary. Stop getting into my stuff, because it's also the fact that she's getting into your private affairs. Why in the world is she getting into your tampons, right? Why would anyone be getting into it? I have had friends for years that have come over to my house and hung out with me, and they never once opened my box. That's like walking up to someone and open their bra drawer or their underwear drawer, It's like, why are you doing that? Why are you sticking your nose in something that's not yours? And for men, it might be kind of like having one of your guy friends walk into your house and open your boxer and socks drawer. Because it's just stupid, right? Why would you be in there, right? And if it's laying out, you don't make commentary on other people's stuff laying out in their home. That's not how that's supposed to go down. That is not... As a host, there are rules, and as a guest, there are rules, right? When you see something interesting in someone's house, it's okay to comment, oh, that's a beautiful painting. Oh, that's a beautiful vase. Where did you get it? Oh, that's a pretty picture, etc., etc., etc. But there's a difference between commenting on someone's beautiful vase and someone's products they're using. It'd be like walking into being like, oh my God, you use Dawn? How dare you use Dawn detergent? I use this detergent. Don't shame people for their products. Like, unless they bring up the conversation, but like, you don't do that. Like I said, that's just soap. But this is like obviously much more like personal as an item. But like, it's the same kind of thing. It's like, stick your nose out of it. I really wish I'd been there for you as his friend, because I would have told her to stick it with sun don't shine, because that is not okay. All right, that's not an appropriate way of behaving with your friend. And especially since you went and brought her aside and said, hey, it makes me uncomfortable, and she just kind of doubled down, girl, your friend is a jerk, especially a jerk. And I don't know, we're gonna read some comments here, because I really don't like how your friend kind of shrugged it off, even if it seems like a small thing in the grand scheme of things. The small things add up and they matter. And they matter a lot. Alright, so let's see what someone says. Someone, Sparkly Skelly says, how does a 27-year-old not understand that some people have heavy periods? Or is she just an asshole? Probably just an asshole. Yeah, fairly certain this is a weird, advertisement. She's just an asshole, someone said. BDJT, a bunch of numbers says she's just an asshole. Midnight says, my vote is she's ignorant and an asshole. Okay. Amethyst says, right and not her friend. Man, Reddit, you're getting tiny bit sassy, but I don't blame her. Princess Shira says, that's my vote as well. OP, doesn't she understand that you are literally brought at an off-the-shelf product? The companies make these various absorption sizes to accommodate women's needs, but that it would matter, not that it would matter anyways, but it's not like you had these custom made. Thousands of these boxes are sold around the world every day. I used to use that size. Usually different manufacturer back in my pre-menopause days. Your friend is no friend, and I'm appalled that nobody else in your group said anything to her. Exactly. I agree. And also, here's the thing, though, too. Sometimes that's the biggest issue with different sizes, right? The different sizes only changes the absorption. And let's be real, some off-brands are pretty thick. I came across some off-brands that were, like, materials were thick. But, like, it says it was like a medium or something, but it'd be a large. And sometimes it's the same way with name brands and stuff, too. So each brand is different, too, as far as thickness. But they all have relatively the same kind of thing. The more thick, the more heavy the flow, the more thicker the material they wrap around it to make it a little bit more firm. But they're never any bigger, really. Pads are a little different. Pads do get bigger and longer depending on the size, but not by much. And it's not normally like a crazy amount. The ultra thins are like the really small ones. But like, I think that this is not an inappropriate. This is an inappropriate way for your friend to behave, and it's not an inappropriate topic. She made a topic that wasn't inappropriate for shits and giggles. That's what it is. She did it for giggles, and I think that's insulting. I want to see someone else say something else. Melon Monster? I think it's Melon Monster. She's just an asshole. If she truly didn't understand, she would have asked OP in private and not made fun of her in front of others. Yeah, she made butt of a joke out of something that really shouldn't have been a joke. Yeah, like, this is just silly. I can't imagine, like, this whole situation. Oh my god. There's a few more unhinged comments I'm not gonna read. I giggled at them, but I'm not gonna read them. But I see you read it. Alright, if you wish to comment on this video, on that particular story, it'll be linked in the description below. Please don't be hateful or nasty for no reason. And if you must express a very distasteful opinion, try to do it tactfully. Just because for your own honor and sake, not necessarily the internet's. Because the internet has no honor. But there's no point in sullying your own name. Now we're moving on to the next story, because there will be two in this story. Give me a moment. I'm going to pull up the audio.
Fiance 32M is threatening to end our relationship because I 35F drank wine with coworkers. Background info. Together 2 years lived together. One, I work at a small luxury resort that has a winery and vineyard. I have worked there 2.5 years. Me and fiance do not drink a lot. I told fiance a couple weeks ago that in the coming weeks my workplace wanted my department to do a winery tour. It is newly renovated with new wine offerings, because they want us to be familiar with the grounds and all the wine we sell. I get to work today and tell fiance I made it there and we exchange I love yous. My department begins the wine tour around 2 p.m. It is me, my supervisor, an owner and 2 coworkers. After learning about the harvesting and processing and all that, we tasted a few different wines. Around 3:15 there starts to be a very aggressive knocking noise on the door of the building we are in. One of the men open it and in storms my fiancé crazy-eyed and acting like we are on an episode of Cheaters. He is clearly fuming and starts asking why don't I have my phone and that he thought I had been sex trafficked or murdered. That my location was not the usual place at my work. We share our locations on Life 360. Obviously I am mortified and embarrassed. He is saying it shows he cares and he was genuinely worried something bad had happened. Now he is saying he is upset I was drinking without him and that we should never do that without each other. That he feels betrayed and disrespected and even threatened to end our engagement. I think it's absolutely crazy. It's not like he caught me at a bar with them. I was doing a wine tasting at my workplace that serves wine. I am looking for outside perspective on this situation to see if maybe I am overreacting or he is.
Your fiance is an idiot, and not only is he an idiot, he's an asshole. Here's what. I say this because, and granted, this is advice, but I think you need to run, girl, because here's the thing. I have Life 360 for my own family, right? And it tells you, hey, they're passing Starbucks. Hey, they're passing Dunkin's. Like, he knew. There was no way he didn't notice the movement before you got there to this location. Also, your job is, I think you said you work at a winery. You work at a winery. Yes, you must taste wine because they have to decide if they want that wine for their vineyards. If I remember correctly, and I don't remember if this is correctly like a correct like a memory amount of the matter. Okay, so give me if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. All right, but I'm pretty sure that a lot of wineries, or a lot of luxury hotels or resorts that have wine or vineyard, they oftentimes go and try new flavors. When they get new flavors in there, they'll bring in the workers or the bosses and they'll be like, okay, here, try this. Does this taste like blackberry? Does it taste good? Okay, cool. Then we know how to do it. This is what we're going to charge for it because it takes so long to do it, blah, 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 right? They have the employees or the bosses try it before they go ahead and give it a go ahead. And this is because of the fact that it just gives them more tasters and stuff, right? And they taste it along the way too. But also, it doesn't surprise me if they were to try and treat these workers by saying, hey, you guys are doing great as bosses. Go try this, right? Granted, that's not what's happening. These guys are working. She's working. She told you that she was going. Or maybe, yeah, it was the guy. Yeah, it was the guy that got mad. Yeah. She told you what she was doing. You forgot. And the fact that he forgot so badly that he assumed something, assuming, playing devil's advocate here, assuming he actually genuinely forgot that she had something to do today, right? Say she genuinely forgot, he made a boo-boo, whatever. She told you to your face what it was going to be expected of her and what was going to happen. And you showed up like a maniac because you forgot to remember something that was important to her. She brought it up to you. And here's the thing, right? My own fiance brings up things like, hey, I gotta go do this, I'll be back, you know? I don't ever sit there and stare at my phone for 30 years, but I'll watch and see where he goes and then, like, just to make sure he gets safely to the bus and then be on my way, right? I don't sit there and watch it constantly because I trust him, but not only that, I know he's gonna go where he's gonna go, right? He's not gonna go super far. If he was cheating on me, he wouldn't tell me he was going there. He'd lie and say he was going to the grocery store or something silly, you know? It'd be obvious in that regard. But, like, in this situation, you're working. And you're day drinking to boot. Well, not even day drinking. That's not the right term. You're drinking in the afternoon, right? And you're not even drinking enough wine to be drunk under the table. They're not giving you a full bottle of, here, try this blackberry and drink the whole bottle. No, they give you, like, a little tiny cup. Or maybe even, like, a wine glass with a little bit in it. They don't want to, like, give you a ton of it because you're working. They don't want you to be impaired. And also, some people probably have to drive home after work. But not only that, if the vineyard wants to try and get you to taste it to see if it tastes good, they want to, and it turns out it's good, they want to save every bit of extra drop they can to sell. Because every drop that sells is profit, right? So they don't give you a ton. It's not like they give you a full bottle of wine. They want you to try a little bit. I'm assuming they didn't just bring them down there for one single flavor. They probably had an entire tray full of, like, different things, right? And even if you did think your girl is in danger, and here's the other thing too, This is a red flag for me because he said, oh, I thought you were being sex trafficked and murdered. If you thought that, why would you go to the location like that? Why didn't you get the cops on the line? Why didn't you call her work and say, hey, my fiance's phone is ringing up at this location? The fact that you ran in there tells me that I don't believe for a moment that you believed that she was in danger. I think you were just being controlling. And if you were trying to be genuine about that, you're an idiot. You're stupid because of the fact that, and that is stupid, right? That I don't like using the word stupid for people because that's really mean. But in this situation, you're stupid because this is a horrible thing you could have done that could have got someone hurt if you really thought she was in danger, right? So I call baloney on that. Because the proper thing to do would be to call the cops or call your workplace. That's what I would have done. If my fiance was in a place he wasn't supposed to be and I couldn't get a hold of him, text messages or phone calls, I probably would text first to see. And if he replied back, then I'd know, then, that kind of thing. But I would have, I wouldn't have went to the location. I would have went to cops. I would have called his workplace and said, hey, he's in this location. Oh, yeah, he's working. If they told me, oh, he's working in this location doing this and this, but we'll call him and check. Because you can have the workplace call them and see if they're okay. All right? There are lots of places that will do that. You could do that and just be like, I just want to check. I didn't recognize the location, right? That would have came off much more about her safety. This wasn't about safety. This was about control. This is about the fact that I think he has a drinking problem. I think he's hiding the fact that he's got a drinking problem because why else is he reacting this way? I don't like this. And the fact that your boyfriend or your fiance threatened to end the relationship over the fact that you were out drinking. What was it that he specifically said? Because you were out drinking without him. What? And then he's like, we should never do that without each other. Like I said, they're not gonna get people plastered. This is a tastery, all right? And here's the thing. I've had some relatives and friends go to tasteries for tours like this, like some wineries where you can tie a tour and they'll let people taste them with it, with as long as they're of age. And then there's also some people who have had relatives who try wines for weddings and stuff. Like they go in the venues like, here, do you like this wine, or this wine? They don't give you a full glass of wine. They give you like a tiny little bit in your wine glass and they just let you taste it. And this being a wine thing, they probably only give like a little cup thingy. And they're not trying to get you drunk. And this being a workplace one, though, this to me is the thing, right? This being a workplace wine tasting, I bet you $100 that they did not give them a ton of liquor because they have to drive home. But also, you can't trust your coworkers any more than you can trust a stranger. So they don't want people being like, well, this boss can take advantage of this coworker or this coworker take advantage of this coworker because they're wasted from trying like wineries and stuff, okay? Heck, people who work at bars have told me that when they do taste tests, when they're trying to make a new flavor for their bars and stuff, they don't take a ton of it. They take a tiny little sip to see what it does to them before they even try anymore. And normally they do that when they're off the clock, when they want to take a full drink of anything, unless it's like a shot glass or something. Because of the fact that that's just not safe. It's not safe for a workplace. It's not safe for you. And also, that's not the point. The point is to take a taste of it, to see if it tastes good. Because if a little sip is going to taste good, the rest of it should taste good, theoretically, right? And, like I said, the fact that he jumped to running to your rescue tells me he isn't there to rescue you. Because if he was really worried, he would have made phone calls or would have mixed text messages and stuff. I think he was just mad that you were at these wine things without him. But I think he's got an alcohol problem because why else is he jumping to conclusions? And also, if he's going to end your relationship with the fact that you have a work affair that requires you to go and taste wines, I would tell him, go, walk out, because you aren't just telling me, oh, this that you met, because he's not drawing a hard line because of your career. He's drawing a hard line because he's controlling, right? Because this doesn't fly. There are so many red flags going off in my head that I feel sirens are heading off in the background. So we're going to end up reading some comments here before I get too into it, before I go too handy. Because like I said, this makes me fume. I have my blood boiling at this. There's something, your man's wrong. All right. So let's see. Dino Chicken Leg, oh, I like that name, says, girl in the relationship. It says KB, KB 12 has gotten a highlight. I'm sorry to agree, with that Reddit and be that Redditor. But OP, you slash throwaway, needs to be thrown one to the end of these relationships. Needs to be one of these relationships thrown. There is no way acceptable. This is in no way acceptable. Sorry, I'm butchering this comment. And I can promise you the control you will get so much worse after marriage. He accidentally let the mask slip now. But this is the real him. He's threatening the engagement to test that control. He makes you the one who did that wrong, made it classic. And if you apologize, or at best even agree to stay with him after the apology, he will think this is okay. He will slowly and progressively make your world smaller until he is all that's left. Red flag on the play. Yep. Because it's the thing. It's a controlling thing, right? Because even if he is genuinely worried about your health and your well-being, he's not, but say he was, he's still being controlling about your job. He knows what your job is, all right? He knows that you work at a resort, that you're going to handle these things, and that these things are going to happen, right? This isn't a secret, right? He's being controlling about your job, and as a woman, this sounds horrible, but you can't jeopardize that, all right? You can't jeopardize your career for anyone, because in this world, you are at a disadvantage. And you're a disadvantage because, let me get wrong, people who are mothers, I respect you greatly for your efforts to keep your babies alive and to produce them. But it takes a lot out of your life. Even if you start working immediately after birth, which I don't suggest, because it does so much more damage to you and your kids, because you don't get to hold your kids, you don't get to see them as a baby and stuff, right? But here's the thing. Having a baby knocks a woman off her pedestal for at least a year and a half or more, depending on how devoted a mother you are or how desperate you are time-wise. Because my own mother would have loved to spend more time with us at home, but she didn't have that time. They wouldn't give her any more maternity leave. She did what she could do, and then we had to make bills, right? So there are the situations like that. So no shame if you have to go back early. No shame if you end up going back later, right? But the point being is, normally, if a woman has a choice, she'll be out as long as she can for those first years, because it's the most precious time of the life, right? But that knocks about a year, 2 years off of their careers, which derails them, right? That's the part of being a woman, right? And in this situation, that's one thing that's an understandable thing, right? Because of that. But here's what I'm trying to get at with this point, right? That's a natural consequence to a decision to have kids, right? That's a good thing, right? But as a woman, if you let men like this derail you, you are putting yourself at more of a disadvantage than you are with the kid situation, right? Having kids is important and it's special, right? And we all love it. But it's an understandable thing. It's almost like if you let him control your relationship right now, you are choosing to have an extra car accident in your life. It'll be in your career circle specifically, right? That's the thing, right? It's like that kind of situation. I don't want people thinking that I dislike anyone who chooses to have kids and chooses to take time off for their careers to do that. By all means, do it. For the sake of your children and for the sake of your own mental state, do it. But I'm saying that there's no point in having extra big gaps in your resume for men like this, right? It's different if there's an emergency or you're having kids, right? But this is an emergency. This is a man being controlling and telling you can't do something because he says not and because you scared him. Quote unquote scared him, right? So no, he's full of crap and I wouldn't trust him. And like I said, you don't put your life on hold for a man who is going to come at you for something stupid. And that's the thing, right? It's like, don't go, if they've ever, sorry, I'm trying to get the word. If you've ever been told when you take your driver's tests, they say that in a situation where you're dealing with someone who's in a road rage, whether you're wrong or not, in the situation, if someone gets out of their car and they're in a fit of road rage, what do they tell you to do? They tell you to lock your door, roll your windows up, and don't get out. Wait for the cops to show up, and then if they try to attack you, you try to defend yourself or get to the back seat. Do not engage with them. Why do they say that? Because they are being unreasonable and hostile. With people like this, like your fiance, he is a walking version of that. He's a quieter storm, but he's still road raging at you for daring to have a career and a life. And honestly, it sounds like he has an alcoholic problem. He's an alcoholic, is what I was hearing. But yes, that's what I'm hearing. It's the fact that he is trying to mask whatever's going on with him. We're gonna read one more. I want to see if there's anyone else. I want to see if anyone else has got some more information. And this is Born Alabaster, I think that's the name. Sorry if I butchered it. It says, and he intentionally and publicly embarrassed her at her workplace. I am wondering if he was hoping it would jeopardize her job, giving him more control over her should she lose her job. And KB comes back with that. KB12 goes bingo, and that's what I was getting at by making her world smaller. He will eventually have a problem with her job in general, her coworkers, her boss, her friends, her family, the way she dresses, the way she interacts with others, all potentially potentials on the chopping block, until he is all that's left in her life. It's a story as old as time for abusers and their victims, and more isolated, and the more isolated the victim, the more control and insecure person has over them. Exactly. We're gonna end this particular video here. There will be 2 parts to this video, to this week's videos. On this part 1. So give me a minute, and we're gonna swap over.
And we can just dance